We're here today with Honorable Mayor Tishura Jones, who is mayor-elect of the St. Louis City. Mayor Jones, we congratulate you on winning the election, and we thank you for your continued service to our city. So I have a couple questions from the youth in our city.
Great
So,
for having
uh,
me.
yeah. So, Mayor Jones, you've served our city for several years in many roles, and most recently as the treasurer. What was your favorite part of your job as a treasurer, and what's one thing you feel proud of your accomplishments as the treasurer of St. Louis City?
So, one of my favorite parts of my job as treasurer was creating financial empowerment initiatives for families, the largest of which is the College Kids Children's Savings Account program, which provides a college savings account for every kindergarten student in a public school in the city of St. Louis. And we already have over 18,000 children in the program, and we're reaching families and improving their financial capabilities and their financial lives.
Sounds amazing. Um, my next question is, so we're still amidst a pandemic, and as a mayor, what would be your immediate steps to in our community to fight against the COVID-19?
Number one, so many families have been hurt by the pandemic. And so, with the money that's on its way to our city from the federal government, we want to provide direct relief to families in the form of rent, mortgage, and utility assistance. We also have to help our small businesses that have been hurt and our unhoused. And then also moving forward, we want to make sure that everyone gets vaccinated so we can get to herd immunity so we can start going back to events and we can increase capacity in our sporting venues and get back to some sense of normalcy because our economy has been hurt really bad by the pandemic. And so we want to get everybody vaccinated and provide opportunities for them to get vaccinated in their neighborhoods so they can be healthy again because we don't want anyone else to die from coronavirus.
Yes, those steps sound very well thought. And so, Mayor Jones, as you are waiting to take office, what are the three biggest issues you plan to bring change to in the city of St. Louis?
Well, I think the one thing that's on everybody's mind is crime and public safety. And so we can't reform our way out of it. We have to transform our public safety, our approach to public safety. We have to transform it from this old and tired arrest and incarcerate model to one that leads with prevention. And that means put the public back in public safety. We want to declare gun violence as a public health crisis. We want to make sure that we are deploying the right professional to the right call, and we also want to bring everybody in the region to the table because crime and violence don't stop at our borders. Neither should our approach or our solutions. And then also, we want to make sure that, again, that the money that we're spending that's coming our way is spent with an eye towards equity. And we want to move quickly to make sure that people can take care of themselves. And then last but not least, we have to make sure um, that people are taken care of going forward. So, how can we make targeted investments with the money that we're receiving for the federal government to uh, uh, to to bring returns to our region for many, many years to come? And last but not least, I said that was the last point, but this is the last point. We want to usher in a new era of collaboration and cooperation in our region and knock down these invisible barriers that mean nothing to anybody but us that live in it. So, my goal is by the time you visit St. Louis in maybe 3 to 5 years, you won't know there's a difference between St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
As the treasurer of St. Louis, you launched the College Kids Children's Savings Account program in 2015 to encourage and empower young people to save and go to college. I would like to say thank you for launching and creatively funding the program from parking fines. A number of city high schools are saddened to see extremely poor attendance from their juniors and seniors. How do you think we can help more students complete high school and be active in their education and their future?
Well, that's a great question. What I plan to do as mayor is expand this program to also reach our high school juniors and seniors. We could only start the program with just a little bit of money and only concentrate on our elementary school kids. But now, as mayor, I get to do more. So I'm looking forward to expanding this program and also trying to bookend it. So reaching our kids as they come into school and as they get out of school. So my goal is to have every senior who graduates from a high school, at least in the city, hopefully we can get the county on board. They'll have three things. They'll have their high school diploma, a copy of their credit report, and also an offer letter. And that offer letter could be to 2 or 4 year college, to a vocational or technical school, even a union apprenticeship. We have a lot of assets and a lot of opportunities in our region, and we have to do a better job of connecting our students as they come out of school with careers and with options as they graduate.
That sounds great. And how do you think, kind of relating to the last question, but how do you think we can fight drugs and improve the safety of our neighborhoods and the drug violence, especially common in our juniors and seniors?
Yeah, so that again, I think is going to take a lot of regional cooperation, and making sure that as we declare gun violence as a public health crisis, that brings everybody to the table, and we look at all of the root causes. Our young people are going through a lot. As you have access to a lot of information via the internet, you have the world at your fingertips through these little computers that everybody carries around. And a lot of times, having access to so much information can be overwhelming and somewhat triggering. So, how do we provide mental health resources for our young people and substance abuse resources for our young people instead of arresting and incarcerating them? How do we provide help for them to deal with whatever they're dealing with, and then get back to being a kid again?
Yes. And well, research has shown that improving parks is one way to reduce the crime and gangs. Several parks in our neighborhood, particularly O'Fallon Park and Fairgrounds Park, need renovations so kids and youth can play. Can we ask you to prioritize parks and playgrounds in our neighborhood?
Absolutely. As a single mom of the most adorable 13-year-old kid in the world, I often, worry about the access that he has to safe parks and recreation centers. And so that is also top of mind of my agenda to spend some of the funds that we're getting from the federal government to upgrade all of our recreational facilities and make sure that our parks, no matter what neighborhood that park is located in, that it's safe, and it has everything our children need to thrive and grow.
And kind of relating to the last question, with my project working on hosting basketball tournaments for the youth, we see several baseball fields built by the Cardinals a couple years ago. However, no one has been using them. So, can we invest in programs that can teach the game to kids and host leagues so they can play regularly?
I think we're at a really unique point, and let's have the conversation with the Cardinals to do that, because there's one not too far from my house that doesn't get used as well. And this is a sport that hasn't that their diversity has really decreased over the last several years. We used to have a lot of diverse players in baseball, and then for some time we had no diverse players in the Cardinals on the Cardinals team. So it's a great sport. It's a great pastime. And not only with baseball, I think we should have other facilities within the city as well. My son plays basketball, for example, and I always have to drive to St. Louis County or St. Charles County for tournaments. And I think that we should have facilities also within the city where we can have tournaments for basketball and other sports as well.
Yes. And speaking of youth, several cities in our area, including the Clayton and Richmond Heights, have a youth council that gives youth a role in their city government. Would you consider expanding the Youth Council of St. Louis and giving that opportunity to more youth of St. Louis, particularly at risk?
Absolutely. That's already in my platform. I can't wait to start a youth council in the mayor's office because I think that our young people are so talented and so bright and approach problems with different ways and different solutions. So I can't wait to start a youth council in city government.
I can't wait to see that happen too. There are many young entrepreneurs in our city. How can the city support youth entrepreneurship?
So this is something I've always wanted to do, but never had the capacity to. I see our youth having sort of like mini Shark Tanks, right? where they can present their business ideas to a panel of business leaders and then at the end get funded for that idea. We don't tap into the creativity of our young people enough. And so that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to bringing here through our current partner in the Treasurer's Office, Operation Hope. It's called a Business in a Box Academy, where we have, again, a mini Shark Tank competition for kids, and introduce them to entrepreneurship, because we have to realize everybody's not going to go to college. Everybody's not going to go to a union apprenticeship or a vocational school. There are some people who are destined to be entrepreneurs and own their own business from the day they were born, and we want to tap into that talent and nurture it and help it grow.
Yes. And lastly, our cities need a lot of champions for racial equality, such as yourself. What are your plans for racial equality and how you think youth can be part of those efforts?
So first and foremost, I'm going to appoint a deputy director or deputy mayor of racial equity and community engagement, and that person's going to be responsible for being my eyes and ears when I'm not around, and looking at every policy and every dollar spent through a racial equity lens. We haven't had our policies and procedures looked at through those lenses in a long time or ever, and we need to make sure that we are. As we start to grow and as neighborhoods start to get better, that we're not gentrifying neighborhoods and the people who live there for generations get pushed out. So we have to be super vigilant about making sure that that the things that we champion in our city don't hurt people and have unintended consequences. And also, we had the Ferguson Commission after the death of Mike Brown, and that revealed that we don't really have those hard conversations about race and how race is embedded in every policy in our city for generations. So we need to be brave about having these conversations, and moving forward and making sure that race is at the center of the decisions that we make, because I always say that if you solve the problems of Black mothers, you solve everybody's problems. That's one of those all boats in the tide rise theories that I have. So I am going to be super vigilant about making sure that we put race at the center of every decision we make going forward.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Jones, for the time today for this interview.
Anytime, anytime. It's been great.